Everything you have or don't have is a direct result of your focus. Your bank account, a reflection of your priorities. Your physique, a result of your discipline. Your success, a product of what you give your attention to. You are exactly where you deserve to be because your focus or lack of it put you here. Most people are zombies, mindlessly scrolling, watching garbage, playing pointless games, chasing quick dopamine hits. They wonder why they're broke, lost, and depressed. You think you're unlucky? No, you're unfocused. Focus is the most powerful weapon you have, but instead of using it to build your empire, you waste it on distractions. The world is designed to steal your attention, to keep you weak, lazy, and controllable. The Matrix loves a distracted man because he's powerless. But a man who can focus, he's unstoppable. Every man is given the same 24 hours, the same chance to direct his mind towards his goals. Yet the majority choose to waste it on nonsense. The truth is, nobody is coming to force you to focus. Nobody is going to grab you by the shoulders and shake you awake. It has to come from within. And right now, if you're not where you want to be in life, it's because you've allowed your attention to be hijacked by things that do nothing to move you forward. Every distraction you indulge in is stealing time from your future. Every minute you spend watching useless videos, gossiping about other people's lives, or scrolling through nonsense is a minute you could have spent becoming stronger, smarter, richer. You say you want success, but your actions prove otherwise. There is no shortcut. You have to learn to control your mind, because if you don't, someone else will. Every powerful man in history had the ability to block out distractions and focus entirely on what mattered. They weren't superhuman. They simply mastered the skill of directing their energy toward their purpose. You have to develop the same level of discipline. If you want something badly enough, you have to become obsessed with it. You have to live and breathe it. You have to be willing to ignore everything that doesn't serve your mission. And that's the problem with most men today. They're too comfortable being average. They claim they want success, yet they lack the discipline to control what they give their attention to. A weak mind is a distracted mind, and a distracted mind achieves nothing. When was the last time you sat down with a goal and gave it your undivided attention? No phone, no distractions, just pure focus on executing the task at hand. Most people can't even sit in silence for 10 minutes without feeling the urge to check their phone, and they wonder why they're stuck in mediocrity. If you don't have control over your focus, you don't have control over your future. Everything you do is shaping the life you will live, and every wasted second is a moment you'll never get back. The truth is, your life is the sum total of the small choices you make every day. If you waste time, you're building a future of regret. If you focus, you're building a future of power. Success doesn't require talent, luck, or some magical advantage. It requires one thing: complete and absolute focus on what you want to achieve. The ability to sit down, shut out the noise, and put in the work without distraction. The problem is, most men are addicted to distractions. They let the world dictate their attention instead of taking control of it themselves. A man who can't control his own focus will never control his own destiny. That's why so many people go through life feeling lost. They never train their mind to stay locked onto a target. They drift from one thing to another, never making real progress, never committing fully to anything. And then they wonder why success never comes. It's not because they weren't capable, it's because they never focused long enough to see results. If you're struggling right now, if you feel stuck, if you're frustrated with where you are in life, the answer isn't some complicated secret. It's focus. It's looking at your daily habits and asking yourself, are my actions aligned with the future I want? If not, change them. If your phone is killing your productivity, put it in another room. If your environment is full of distractions, remove them. If the people around you are wasting your time, cut them off. You are either in control of your focus or you're being controlled by your distractions. There is no in between. People love to make excuses. I just don't have time. That's a lie. You have the same 24 hours as the most successful men in the world. The difference is they use their time wisely while you waste it. I can't focus. No, you've just conditioned your mind to seek instant gratification instead of delayed success. I'm not motivated. Motivation is a lie. Discipline is what gets things done. Focus is what separates the winners from the losers. And right now you have a choice. Stay distracted, stay weak, stay where you are, or take control of your mind, cut out the nonsense, and build the life you claim you want. You will never get to the next level by doing the same things that keep you average. It's time to take responsibility for your focus. Stop letting the world steal your attention. Stop feeding distractions. Stop waiting for something to magically change. You already have everything you need. The only thing missing is your ability to lock in, eliminate excuses, and execute. The moment you truly commit to mastering your focus is the moment your entire life shifts. But it's up to you. No one is coming to save you. It's either focus or failure. The choice is yours. There was a time when I wasn't the man you see today, a time when I wasn't rich, powerful, or respected. I wasn't some chosen one, gifted with superhuman abilities. I was just another guy trying to figure it out. But here's what set me apart from every other man who's still stuck in the same cycle of failure. I mastered my focus. I realized that my mind, my time, my energy were all currencies, and I refused to waste them on anything that didn't push me toward my goals. Most people never escape mediocrity because they never learn how to direct their focus. They tell themselves they'll change, they'll start working hard, they'll become disciplined, yet every time an opportunity presents itself, they let distractions pull them back into their old ways. The reason people stay broke isn't because they lack potential, it's because they lack focus. They spend their days complaining about their circumstances instead of taking control of them. And that was almost me. I remember standing in front of the mirror, staring at a version of myself I hated. I was frustrated, broke, and tired of watching other men succeed while I sat on the sidelines. I had two choices: keep living like a failure or become obsessed with improvement. I chose obsession. I cut out everything that wasn't helping me win. Every minute I spent watching TV, every conversation with a useless person, every second wasted on things that didn't matter, I cut it all. And the results came fast because success isn't about luck, it's about alignment. The moment you align your actions with your goals, the universe starts working in your favor. The problem is, most people don't want to pay that price. They want success, but they refuse to sacrifice distractions. They want money, but they spend hours scrolling through social media, wasting their focus on garbage that doesn't make them stronger, richer, or smarter, and then they wonder why their life never changes. I see men every day who claim they want to be successful, yet they let weakness and distraction dominate their life. They have a goal, but the second it gets hard, they turn to their phone, video game, or some other nonsense to escape reality. That's not ambition, that's self-sabotage. If you can't sit in silence and focus on your goals without feeling the urge to distract yourself, you will never be successful. That's the difference between winners and losers. Winners control their focus. Losers let the world control it for them. The harsh truth is life is designed to keep you weak. Everywhere you look, there's something trying to steal your focus. Entertainment, social media, mindless distractions. Why? Because a man who can't focus is a man who can't build power. The Matrix doesn't want you to be focused because a focused man is dangerous. A focused man can change his life. A focused man can't be controlled. But here's what most people never realize. You have full control over what you give your attention to. Nobody is forcing you to waste your time. Nobody is making you stay distracted. You choose that, and because you choose that, you also have the power to change it. The second you decide to take back control of your focus, your entire life shifts. That's what happened to me. I started waking up earlier. I stopped surrounding myself with losers. I eliminated everything that wasn't moving me forward. I trained my mind to resist distractions, and I replaced every wasted hour with productive action. At first it was difficult. Discipline is painful, but regret is worse. Every time I wanted to take a break, every time I felt the pull of laziness, I reminded myself that success wasn't optional. And because I stayed locked in, because I refused to let my focus be hijacked, I built the life I have today. Now look at your own life. Be honest with yourself. Are you really focused, or are you just pretending? Your reality is the sum total of what you've given your focus to. If you don't like your life, change your focus. It's not complicated. If you spend all your time on distractions, you'll have nothing to show for it. If you dedicate your time to growth, success is inevitable. Some of you will hear this and actually do something about it. You'll look at your habits, your routines, your mindset, and you'll start cutting out the nonsense that's keeping you weak. But most of you won't. You'll agree with everything I've said, and then you'll go right back to your distractions. And that's why only a small percentage of men ever win. The ones who win aren't the smartest or the luckiest. They're the ones who master their focus and never let anything break it. The question is, which one will you be? The man who stays distracted and weak, or the man who locks in, stays obsessed, and builds a life worth living? The choice is yours. Most people don't understand what's at stake. They think their lack of focus is just some bad habit, something they can fix later. But that's a lie they tell themselves to stay comfortable. Every second you spend distracted is a second stolen from your future. Every time you let yourself get pulled into nonsense, mindless entertainment, pointless arguments, distractions designed to weaken you, you are actively choosing failure. The world is built to keep you weak. You think these distractions are harmless? You think it's just social media, just a little entertainment, just a quick escape? No, it's a weapon. A focused man is powerful, but a distracted man is easy to control. That's why they flood you with meaningless content, endless notifications, constant noise, so you never have the clarity to realize how much of your life is being stolen from you. If they can control your attention, they can control your entire existence. And that's exactly what they're doing. Most of you will never reach your potential, and it's not because you're not smart enough or strong enough. It's because you refuse to take control of your focus. A man who can't master his own mind will never master his reality. You think success is about talent, luck, or some secret formula? No, it's about obsession. It's about locking in so completely that nothing, not boredom, not distractions, not even your own excuses can break you. The men who win in life are the ones who refuse to let their focus be stolen. Look at your life right now. Look at the results you have. If you're not where you want to be, it's your fault. Your life is a direct reflection of what you've chosen to focus on. You want to be rich, but you spend hours consuming garbage instead of studying how to make money. You want to be strong, but you waste time scrolling through nonsense instead of hitting the gym. You want to be respected, but you invest your energy into things that don't matter instead of building real power. Then you complain when nothing changes. How can you expect success when you don't even have the discipline to control what you give your attention to? Here's the truth. Everything is a choice. You are either choosing to be focused or choosing to be weak. There is no in between. Every time you open your phone to mindlessly scroll, every time you waste hours watching some meaningless TV show, every time you allow your focus to drift to things that don't serve you, you are making a decision to stay exactly where you are. And that decision has consequences. The life you're living today is the result of every moment you've wasted in the past. If you don't like your reality, then you need to change what you focus on immediately. The real reason most men never escape mediocrity is because they don't feel urgency. They tell themselves they have time, that they'll figure it out eventually. That's a lie. Every day wasted is a day you'll never get back. Every moment spent on distractions is a step further from the life you could have had. Do you think the most powerful men in the world waste time on nonsense? Do you think they allow their focus to be hijacked by weak impulses? No, they control their minds. They understand that focus is their greatest weapon, and they guard it with everything they have. Ask yourself right now, who is controlling your focus? Is it you or is it someone else? Are you directing your mind toward your goals, or are you allowing yourself to be manipulated into wasting your life? If you're not actively controlling what you focus on, then you are being controlled. That's not an opinion, that's reality. But here's the good news, you can take back control. The second you decide that your focus is yours and yours alone, you become dangerous. The moment you eliminate distractions, cut out everything that weakens you, and channel all your energy into your mission, you become unstoppable. And the best part, it happens instantly. The minute you make the decision to take full ownership of your focus, your entire world starts shifting. Opportunities appear, progress accelerates, success becomes inevitable, but you have to make the choice. You can either stay distracted, stay weak, stay stuck in the same miserable cycle, or you can wake up, take control, and start building the life you were meant to have. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to force you to focus. It's on you. Either you master your focus, or your focus will be mastered for you. And if you allow that to happen, you will live a life of regret, watching other men achieve everything you once dreamed of while you sit there knowing you could have had it too, but you were too distracted to make it happen. That's the reality. And the question is, what are you going to do about it? The world doesn't want you to be focused, because a focused man is dangerous. He cannot be controlled, manipulated, or broken. He sees through the lies, through the distractions, through the nonsense designed to... Look around you. Society is full of grown men with teenagers' minds. They chase dreams but build nothing real. They want success but run from hard work. These immature men destroy everything they come across because they simply refuse to accept the harsh truth that real power comes only from manning up. We have all encountered somewhere in our life this type of man that is full of great ideas and has big dreams for the future. You can see a special look in his eyes that tells you he believes he is meant for great things. He often talks about amazing projects he wants to start, yet he is stuck on the promise of what he could achieve, but he never actually produces any real results. And he always has a list of excuses ready for why things go wrong. He'll say it wasn't the right time, or he was working with the wrong people. He might even claim that people just don't understand his unique vision yet. This person could be a friend you grew up with, or maybe your younger brother. In some cases, he might be your partner or even your father. He is someone who, even though he gets older, never seems to change or grow up. You see a grown man who continues to behave like a child. His feelings are often messy and all over the place, and he consistently runs away from his responsibilities. He is always looking for an escape and avoids taking any real blame for his failures. It's even possible that a small part of you still holds on to the hope that he is going to change into a better man. And this particular pattern of thinking is often described as the man-child syndrome. This idea points to the type of immature man who avoids growing up, someone who seems to live in a constant state of preparation. It is as if he is always on the verge of starting his real life, but somehow never truly begins it. He can be very attractive because of his youthful energy, his creative ideas, and his spontaneous personality. However, there is a significant downside hiding just beneath this attractive surface. This is his complete inability to manage the normal responsibilities and challenges of the real world. The man-child believes that life should simply adjust to his personal desires. He fully expects other people to solve the problems for him that he is unwilling to face on his own. He spends his time dreaming about an absolutely perfect partner, an ideal job, and a life without any problems. And as soon as the real world fails to live up to these high expectations, he chooses to escape. He will suddenly cut off communication, quit his job or end the relationship, and go right back into the familiar cycle of daydreaming. And in his mind, he is far too special to accept the predictable nature of a normal life. But the honest truth is that he is paralyzed by the intense fear of failure, the pain of disappointment, and the simple act of growing up. And anyone who has ever tried to support a person like this understands just how draining it can be. You feel completely worn out from offering advice that is completely disregarded and from giving support that is ultimately wasted. It's a tiring experience to try and push someone forward who deep down has no desire to change their position at all. And what's even more difficult, the immature man often makes you feel as though you are the one to blame. He might suggest you are the problem for expecting too much, for pushing him to grow, or for not being content to live in a constant state of almost. However, it is important to speak about the reality of his situation. The simple truth is that this kind of man remains completely stuck. He is trapped inside a dream of being independent. But this dream has actually turned into a prison built from his own fears and his refusal to grow up. And if he doesn't wake up from this, he will find himself growing old without ever having truly lived his life in a meaningful way. This is not meant to be an attack. It is offered as a chance for serious reflection. If you are still engaged with this, it is likely because a part of you recognizes this pattern. You might be seeing it in someone close to you, or you may even recognize parts of it within yourself. The path of the man-child does not have to end in a state of never moving forward. However, a change is only possible when the truth of the situation is faced head-on. The man-child is not just a simple category of personality. Instead, it should be seen as a deep-seated pattern, a kind of mental programming that operates subconsciously in the minds of many men. This pattern is frequently mistaken for positive qualities such as having a lot of charm, acting impromptu, or possessing a truly free-spirited nature. However, underneath this attractive surface, there is a much more significant problem hiding. This issue is a strong, almost instinctive resistance to the idea of growing up. This pattern has been observed in countless individuals and has been documented in various stories throughout history. The immature man appears as someone who refuses to leave the comfortable paradise of his childhood. He wants to stay in that safe, protected space, like an emotional safety net provided by a parent where all his needs are met and every problem is solved for him. As a result, he lives his life constantly waiting for an amazing future that is always just around the corner but never actually happens. In his own mind, he often sees himself as a person with endless potential, as if he is the uniquely gifted one who is destined for greatness. Yet, when it comes to the practical matters of daily life, he consistently fails to take control and be responsible for his own path, and you have likely seen this behavior up close. Just think about men who frequently switch jobs, always on the hunt for something that feels more important or perfect. Think of those who start new projects with a huge amount of enthusiasm, only to abandon them as soon as they encounter the first real challenge. You might also recognize the men who seem to fall in love with great intensity, but then disappear the moment the relationship begins to demand genuine commitment and maturity. These are often the same individuals who enjoy discussing complex ideas like spirituality and personal freedom, but struggle with basic responsibilities like paying a bill on time or honoring a commitment for longer than a few months. And this type of behavior is not the result of a person being unintelligent or without natural ability. In fact, the man-child is often very bright, sensitive, and shows a great deal of potential. He tends to have a very deep connection to his creative side, feeling frequent bursts of inspiration and having a powerful imagination. However, this very strength is what keeps him living in a world of ideas, allowing him to avoid the heavy responsibilities of real life. This immature man wants to fly high without ever having to build his own wings. He desires love but shies away from any real commitment. He dreams of success but is not willing to put in the hard work. He wants all the rewards of being an adult without ever having to pay the price of growing up. And naturally, when the world does not simply give him these things, he reacts with anger and defiance. He will blame the system, his family, or even life itself, but he will never look for the fault within himself. A key problem for the man-child is his poor relationship with time. He is always living in the future, constantly waiting for something else to happen first, like finding the perfect idea, the ideal partner, or just the right moment to start. He exists in a world of someday, and because of this, he is not truly living. He is simply surviving, fueled by dreams that eventually stop inspiring him and become heavy burdens. But it is also important to see the other side of this situation, because even though he is immature, the man-child has a positive energy that cannot be ignored. He can be the source of youthful spirit, endless creative imagination, and the amazing ability to reinvent life and see it in new ways. The problem is not the inner boy that exists inside the man. The problem starts when that boy completely takes over his entire life. So this brings us to the next thing we need to understand. What happens when the positive light of the man-child begins to fade and his darker shadow takes control? There is a certain magnetic quality to the man-child. He seems so light and acts in a very spontaneous way. He often speaks with the beauty of a poet, dreams with the scale of a great thinker, and appears to live completely outside the normal flow of time. This is a man who does not follow the usual rules, refuses to accept any kind of label, and never seems to cling to anything for too long. For many people, this is an incredibly fascinating way to be. He gives the impression of being completely free, and who wouldn't want that kind of freedom in a world so full of obligations, commitments, and repetitive empty routines? However, this is precisely where the trap is hidden. This so-called freedom is actually an illusion. It is a carefully constructed disguise that he uses to hide from the one thing he is most afraid of, which is reality itself. The man-child is not truly free at all. He is more like a person on the run. He is constantly running from pain, from the possibility of failure, from rejection, from feelings of frustration, and from the simple fact that time is passing. He is escaping the heavy burden of being responsible for the direction of his own life. And with every single choice he manages to avoid, every decision he puts off for another day, and every responsibility he passes on to someone else, he only strengthens the walls of his personal prison, which he has disguised as his independence. And you have probably seen this behavior up close. He might tell you he doesn't want a normal career path because he feels he is destined for something much more important. The real story, however, is that he is deeply afraid of predictable routines, of having a boss, and of long-term commitment. He will likely say that he doesn't want to be tied down to one person because relationships feel like prisons to him. But what is really happening is that he is terrified of giving up control, of allowing someone to see the real him, and of being expected to answer for his actions. He might claim that he hates rules, but when you look closer, he simply does not have the skills to cope with limits. The freedom he advertises to the world is, in truth, an immature refusal to face the difficult parts of life. He wants to be forever young, lighthearted, and untouched by problems. And to achieve this, he believes he must stay in continuous motion, floating around like a balloon that is carried by the wind. But time does not stop for anyone. And sooner or later, the real world always shows up and demands for a price to be paid. The man-child lives his life as if he is caught in a dream, constantly floating somewhere between the sky and the solid ground. He actively avoids coming back down to reality, refusing to plant his feet firmly and build a stable life. This immature man shows no interest in managing the everyday practical details that life requires. However, we all know that without a solid foundation, nothing significant can ever develop. Similarly, without putting in real work, nothing truly wonderful can blossom. And without facing difficult experiences, a person can never truly change and grow. And many people think freedom means having no limitations, but real freedom is actually the power to thoughtfully decide which people and goals are worthy of your dedication. The man-child, however, refuses to make these important choices. Instead, he simply runs away. And through this constant escape, he doesn't just damage his own future, he also slowly but surely causes deep pain to the people who try to love and support him. At the very start, everything about him seems wonderful and exciting. The man-child gives off a special kind of energy that naturally draws people to him, making them feel inspired and completely caught up in his world. He acts with a lot of passion and excitement, and his unpredictable nature is very appealing. However, after a while, that attractive sparkle starts to dim. The qualities that once seemed positive begin to change for the worse. What used to feel like a carefree attitude soon becomes a pattern of him simply not being around. What first looked like deep emotional feeling later changes into emotional instability, and the lifestyle that seemed to represent total freedom is eventually shown for what it truly is, a way to escape from responsibility. It is at this stage that the darker side of this immature man starts to surface. This negative part of his character begins to act in quiet, tricky ways. It shows itself through small, destructive actions in his everyday life. For example, he starts forgetting important plans. He doesn't meet his deadlines, and his finances become a complete mess. He might suddenly change his mind about big decisions or break the promises he has made. Yet, he explains all these actions with a kind of beautiful story he tells himself and others. He will say things like, "I'm just not ready for this," or "I don't want to do something that doesn't feel right," or "I simply need more time." The reality, though, is much more direct and difficult to face. The simple truth is that he is scared. He is afraid of the idea of growing up. He's terrified of making a mistake, and he worries about being judged by other people or just being a normal, average person. Because of these fears, he doesn't even realize that he is actively ruining anything in his life that demands adult responsibility. This continuous pattern of self-destruction has a negative impact on all the people in his life. For his romantic partners, there is the deep pain of being in love with a man who seems wonderful at his core, but is completely unreliable in his actions. He might tell his partner he loves her, but then he will vanish without a word. He will talk about wanting to build a future together, yet he never takes any real action to make it happen. His family members often feel a growing sense of frustration as they watch him throw away his natural talents, his intelligence, and the many good opportunities that come his way. His friends also become exhausted from constantly trying to help someone who seems forever stuck in a loop of almost achieving things but never quite getting there. Underneath all these behaviors, there is an overwhelming feeling of being stuck. The man-child seems completely unable to make any real progress, as if he is caught in a phase of being a teenager emotionally, a phase that never seems to conclude. Similar to other classic personality patterns, the negative side of the man-child is fueled by thoughts and feelings he isn't even aware of. He genuinely does not see that he is the one ruining his own life. Even more concerning, he starts to believe that everyone else is the source of his problems. He begins to blame the world around him, calling it dull, too strict, and always trying to control him. From his point of view, people who have grown up and become responsible adults are like traitors who have betrayed the ideal of living a free life. As a result of this thinking, he pushes people away and spends more and more time alone. He does this because he truly thinks he is staying loyal to his unique personality, but in reality, he is just letting his own fear completely control him. But true personal growth doesn't happen by only focusing on our positive qualities. Instead, it comes from bravely understanding the more difficult, hidden parts of ourselves. This is particularly true for the man-child, whose negative side should not be ignored but must be directly confronted. The real problem is not that an adult man has a youthful spirit inside of him. The issue begins when this inner child takes control, becoming a dominant force that ruins his opportunity to experience a complete and authentic adult life. This destructive pattern often has very deep origins because the immature man is very seldom on his own in this struggle, and supporting him, almost always, is a quiet but powerful presence that encourages his behavior and keeps him locked in this stage of life. This presence is what we can call the symbolic mother figure. It is important to explore the role of this hidden relationship, including how his emotional reliance on this mother figure keeps the man-child in a state of immaturity, and why finding the strength to break this connection is his only real path to freedom. An immature man does not simply appear without a reason. Looking closely, we often find a quiet but influential person in the background of nearly every man who resists growing up. This person can be very loving, yet at the same time, her influence can feel suffocating. She shields him from life's challenges, but in doing so, she also stops him from ever learning to handle them himself. In psychology, this powerful role is often referred to as the mother figure. When her influence becomes too strong and overwhelming, she changes into a more destructive force. Instead of nurturing his life and growth, she ends up trapping him. Sometimes, this mother figure is his actual biological mother, an overprotective parent who managed every detail of his life. She was the one who never allowed him to fail and was always there to catch him. But without realizing it, she was the one who kept him from becoming a self-reliant individual. However, this role can also be a symbolic one, such as a romantic partner who acts more like a caretaker, a devoted grandmother, or any woman who offers protection, support, and comfort, while unconsciously asking for his unending loyalty in return. As a result, the man-child starts to look for something specific in his relationships with women. He isn't searching for an equal partner to share his life with, but rather for a replacement mother figure. He desires someone who will understand all his needs without making any demands, who will accept him completely without ever challenging him, and who will offer him endless support. This kind of mutually dependent connection can feel very safe and comfortable, but it is also incredibly damaging in the long run because it protects him from ever having to face the real world. As long as he is being taken care of, he feels no pressure to take action, no need to make important decisions, and no reason to mature. He effectively stays stuck in the mindset of a child, constantly expecting the women in his life to handle the very things he will not deal with himself. The symbolic mother figure also gets caught in this unhealthy dynamic. She often thinks that she is being helpful and loving, but the truth is that she is contributing to a harmful cycle of emotional dependency that ultimately drains the life and energy from both of them. So the most significant problem that can happen is when a mother does not allow her child to grow up on an emotional level. This means that while the person gets older on the outside, their inner world stays undeveloped and childlike,